It should be there no surprise that this was one of my favorite houses on the parade of homes, clocking in at 3.3 million. I think you can understand why. So I reached out to Rob and said, hey, why don't we do another video tour? So here we are today, out in front of this beautiful home. What can you tell us about this property?
Well, you know, I think one of the most unique features about it is it's right in the heart of Downtown Wayzata, which is super popular, you know, for restaurants and, you know, strolling by the water and so forth. And so we seized the opportunity. This was an existing home that sat here before. We removed that home and then put this home in its place. And it really turned out great, you know, and people love Wayzata, the vibe, the feel of it. And, you know, we wanted to capitalize on that.
I mean, looking up and down the street here, it's a lot of houses that were torn down and rebuilt over the years. So I imagine there's not a ton of opportunity to find something like this.
There really isn't. I mean, that's the thing. It's limited, especially in a small city like Wayzata. You know, there's just only a certain amount of housing stock. And if a majority of those older homes have been remodeled, they're not really a great candidate for a tear down. So it needs to be a home that probably needs some love, and that will allow the price point to be feasible, you know, to purchase that home and tear it down.
Now, how often do you think opportunities like this come along?
Really, I think that you're looking at maybe a couple times a year, you know, so it's very limited, you know, in that. There is a demand for it, but doing these types of projects are more costly than, let's say, going further out into the suburbs into a, you know, a multi-site development where it's much easier to pick and choose lots, and there's more availability.
Awesome. So I imagine as a builder developer, you at all times have a pipeline of potential project sites that you're either negotiating on or just kind of keeping an eye on.
Absolutely. And people oftentimes, you know, come to us looking for a certain geographic location. That allows us to either, you know, take out of the repertoire something that we already have, you know, in inventory, or to specifically look, you know, for that opportunity for them.
Awesome. So like right now, do you have any houses that are, you know, scheduled for demolition or have been demolished and they're just sitting vacant?
Absolutely. In fact, when we started this project, you know, we had another homeowner reach out to us just a few blocks away. It's actually located in the city of Plymouth, but walkable to Downtown Wayzata, which is the best of both worlds. That sits on a 1 acre lot, backing to some really nice ponds, lakes, and we're able to build a much larger home with sport court and those types of features that people are getting out in Plymouth, but want that central location, you know, that this site would offer. And so that's just a few blocks away from here. That is currently under construction and available. But that, yeah, we have another home under construction on Lake Minnetonka in Orono, Stubbs Bay. Another one that's just going to be starting walkable to downtown Excelsior, and some other new build projects, you know, for clients that are happening right now too. And then, of course, in Edina, you know, we have a home that's currently a model home that's for sale as well. So always building and looking for new opportunities.
Awesome. Well, be sure to subscribe because perhaps we'll be able to tour those as well.
Absolutely.
Well, let's go check this one out. Well, why don't we just walk through the home and you can point out some of the finer details that people may not notice and really what you get at this price point.
Absolutely. When we're at this particular price point, we're really able to take that design to the next level and do more decorator touches that you're not going to find on homes, you know, that are a little bit less expensive, such as, you know, real grass cloth wallpaper treatments, a lot of the accent moldings, crown molding, those particular details, flat ceiling texture. I think those are some great features.
I appreciate the trendy flooring with the white oak and the way you guys did the vents where it's nice cut out.
That's really been something that gives a little bit more modern edge, you know, so you don't have, you know, the vents sitting on top of the wood.
Yeah, and a lot of natural light in here. We got the taller ceilings, very large windows here that almost go to the floor, and additional lighting here where you're still getting privacy, but you're getting that extra light.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's important, you know, to do that. And this particular home is all main level living, which is something that you're not finding a lot of in new construction, you know, in this area, you know, a lot of 2-story homes and so forth. But we were seeing a big demand, people coming off of the lake or those who have a second home that really are at a place where they want to live on one level, but we did incorporate some additional bedroom suites, that allow for, family visits or even those that have teens and so forth.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I have a main floor. Is there laundry back here? Oh yeah, so laundry. We got the mudroom all connected. I like how the flooring is very seamless, how the transition there. You don't have that big, piece there for people to trip over.
Absolutely. And obviously key with any home in Minnesota, emphasis on, oversized mudrooms, places to store, gear, coats, boots, things of that nature, along with a generous size walk-in closet around the back. This is really a nice feature as far as main level laundry facility and the connectivity of the main floor primary right into the closet and into the laundry facility.
The thing I really like is how they were able to match the ceiling detail with the wallpaper here. It's a different size, but it kind of carries that theme and those colors through. So,
as we saw in the main floor office, again, more use of wall treatments, and wallpapers and things of that nature, just to provide that more decorator edge.
Stackable for good use of space.
Absolutely.
One of cabinetry. I like the key drop, of course, and come in and just be able to put things there. We'll check out the basement and the upper level later. We have a fun half bath here. I feel like that's a good area to express yourself with your wallpaper. You can do something a little different.
Oftentimes you'll see that, because people are a little bit nervous or apprehensive about wallpaper or maybe what they saw their parents do in the 70s, and that's a fun place to experiment.
So I noticed they went with the sink where it's open below. What percentage of people do you think are going with that versus having cabinetry for
I would
half
say
bath?
the practical side, cabinetry, just as far as storage, of bath tissue and those types of things, certainly, is popular. This is a little bit more of a decorator look with the freestanding sink. But I would say 70% are going with storage.
Okay. Of course, you have the iPort mounted here. It's an iPad with the apps loaded on it. So this one's going to have Sonos for the surround sound, and alarm.com for security. Not a ton of tech in this house, but a good amount. And so you can always add your smart lighting later if you're into that. And I may be in the minority in which I love the smart lighting and the shades, but I feel like the cost would really ratchet up for something that they may or may not like. So,
and on a model home or a spec home, we have to balance out, some of those costs versus, getting involved in the entire build process. The ability to customize, to your taste certainly is something that people utilize or take advantage of.
And this room just feels absolutely grand with the high ceilings and the beams. And what went into just making this area a reality?
Yeah, I really I wanted to design a home that had main floor amenities, but still had this grandeur that you're getting in a lot of the, let's say traditional Rambler or ranch style homes, where they have high 10-foot ceilings or vaults, which you can do when you don't have space above you. So I wanted to blend that in, and this is more of a story and a half design, so you'd have this drama and people would want to gather in this space. A lot of details and tricks, went into the beam locations and the beadboard ceiling treatments and the design of this room. And really it all comes together. We wanted to create more of a cottage feel, which is more fitting with Wayzata being a lake themed area. We wanted to bring that into the mix with this house.
Yeah, it feels like it's perfect for entertaining. I do like that you've moved the sink off of the island over here on the side. That way that frees this space up. You don't have to worry about having soaps or rags or anything sitting out. You have that over here, and then a nice window to bring in more light.
We were seeing a lot of demand for that, a lot of people that just by default, that sink goes in the island, in these more open concept designs, but yet just having a space or the natural light, or looking outside, I think is something that people are looking for.
Yeah. Then we have a sink here. We had the sink in the entryway. We've got a sink back here in the butler pantry, and I'm seeing a beverage center in the island. So We got a lot of opportunities here for.
Absolutely. And we, incorporated 36-inch range, so, obviously a functioning range with flat top, and 4 burners, along with a custom steam oven and another convection oven, and then microwave and so forth in the scullery.
I also like the built-in with the refrigerator and the dishwasher, where it's just kind of camouflage. Looks like it's part of the cabinetry.
So the column style refrigerator and freezer here is something that is nice, just to really incorporate that into the cabinetry.
And really intelligently placed as well, because you can grab something from here, move it right there for cooking.
Yeah.
Your sink is still within reach. We've got a lot of room here too, so if you're doing a lot of entertaining, maybe you keep some of that back here, but even if you're working around this area, there's still room for people to gather and grab food as they go. So
absolutely.
Well, one of the big trends that I'm seeing on the Parade of Homes and the Artisan Tour for high-end homes is having either a butler pantry or a scullery. So well, this one is definitely set up where it could be a prep kitchen, and we got the pocket door here to close it off. But are you hearing from a lot of buyers that this is like a must-have? Or
yeah, I think that again, harkening back to older homes, the kitchen wasn't the space that it's turned into. Rather, the kitchen was part of the living space and not meant to see the mess and the prep and so forth. So I think people, once they see this and see the utility side of it, they really want it, and so we've tried to incorporate that into a lot of the new designs.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to just keep your microwave over here, have another sink, get rid of some of the clutter. And if you're entertaining, then just kind of be tucked away. But also, like everyone with their air fryers and their coffee makers, all those countertop appliances that you might not want just sitting out. This is a great place to keep them tucked away. I like the open cabinetry design and how the color is different. Like a nice bold choice over here. And we have another dishwasher. So there we go.
And just a nice tie-in from a design standpoint with the white oak and the white oak backing, on the open shelves. So bringing in, more of a nautical theme, with this really dark blue, almost looks black color on the ceiling as well.
And you're a little taller than me, so perhaps you'd be able to
myself,
utilize.
that is a stretch, but those.
You have some cool latches on them there. It certainly looks better than having the cabinets end and then you'd have that void there.
Yeah.
So something to think about with your taller ceilings.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's certainly something that people don't want, that open soffit, rather have, that go up a little bit. Yeah.
All right, so here in the living room, we have my favorite, the frame TV. It's art when it's off. I appreciate that you've done the frame detail around it to make it look extra nice. Gas fireplace, must have.
Absolutely.
I don't understand why people do electric fireplaces at a price point like this. So thank you for not doing that.
Absolutely.
And I absolutely love the built-ins. I think it really just ties everything together.
To have the bookcases and so forth, just, gives it more of that furniture look, people like to see that.
Who did the staging?
In-house, Deanne Latero did the staging, and she works with all of our clients.
So this is kind of interesting here. We've got different style light fixtures, and obviously with the angle of this ceiling here, to get them even like this, that had to be quite the task.
There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that went into that, with the designer and the electrician working on the placement, because as you notice, each one of those are a separate lighting run, and just getting those level and arranged in a way that fit the space, took some time, But again, I think it's some of those extra attention to detail, that really make this home stand out. Not to mention, as we're standing right here, taking in the volume of this space, this was a wall of sheetrock, and we looked for a way to add interest, in architecture to the wall, and added the paneling to that and enameled that entire wall, which I think turned out fantastic.
As far as as the house is going to settle, is there any concerns with this where cracking may occur, or how does the enameling better or worse than just a traditional drywall?
You know, that's always one of the things that they talk about in wallpapering a home or doing some of these finishes and so forth right away. You know, during that first year, you know, homes go through a settling stage, you know, as they expand and contract with the seasons. But the good thing is that we take care of those types of things that happen in that first year of construction. We come back, you know, we professionally detail those particular areas, and then we're pretty set at that point. But it does, the homeowner really needs to understand the technology that goes into these homes, the breathability, the humidity levels, those types of things are very important in a climate like ours. And those things will really create longevity, you know, to your woodwork and trim and things like that.
Now, what's the ideal percentage for humidity for something like this, for the flooring and the...
Usually in the winter, they're looking at about 40%, you know, humidity is recommended. You know, 40 to 45%. You're gonna watch to make sure you don't have excess moisture, which can be something of an issue. So that's something to maintain, but around 40%.
Okay. And do you guys install a humidifier or a dehumidifier?
Yeah, so what we have, you know, we're not usually worried too much about dehumidifying, you know, in the winter time, especially because, you know, with our forced air, you know, natural gas furnaces, the homes are very dry. So we're creating humidity by installing a humidifier on the furnace, you know, or the whole heating system. And so that is adjustable, and oftentimes it's done and integrated into the thermostat. So it makes it a lot more user-friendly, you know, for people to dial that in.
Yeah, awesome. So back here we have a really nice indoor-outdoor space.
Something that people really want, you know, in a home, you know, is this porch. You know, they love to enjoy the seasons in Minnesota, especially with the integration of a heat source like the gas fireplace. On top of that, you know, this home, we installed the amazing easy screen window system. So what this does is it allows you to, you know, open and expand this area, allowing for the full breeze, you know, to come through, or enjoying the elements. However, a day like today, we're a little chill in the air, you know, dropping these down and turning the fireplace on really allows us to retain more of that heat. Not to mention, people love these in the winter time because it's keeping snow from entering the porch, or even in the summer, you know, dirt and dust and pollen and so forth keeps this area a lot cleaner.
So it's like a lightweight plastic.
That's right.
Essentially a window. Interesting. I've not seen it move up like that before.
Yeah,
I've
so
seen
this
the
is
separate screens where
that's
it's
right.
A screen and then a plastic, and then they would roll down. But I've not seen one where it's basically like a window. That's really cool.
People really seem to enjoy this. You know, I mean, we've all been in homes that have a 4-season porch, you know, with a thermopane window and so forth that feels like part of the home. But you don't get to experience that indoor-outdoor feel as much as you do in this type
and
of
I imagine in
space.
that scenario, you would have to have makeup air.
Absolutely,
So,
you know, that's right. You know, so
with this, you can have the outdoor fireplace and still be the code.
This is a gas fireplace, easy maintenance, easy on and off. It is a heat source. However, you can integrate a actual operational wood burning fireplace into a space like this because of the disconnect from the house. You can work with that, and it's easy to do as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I like the wood detail. You can even smell it.
Absolutely, people loved it. You know, I mean, obviously that's a Minnesota thing. You know, you have this, you know, cedar-lined, you know, porch, and just the aroma of that, especially as the weather was a little warmer. You know, really emitted, you know, from that.
Yeah, and with a infill home like this, you get this unique backyard where, you know, you're not going to find that out in the suburbs. And so I think that's kind of a cool feel. And like you said earlier, you're able to walk down to the shops and to the lake.
Absolutely.
So.
And I think people are surprised, you know, when they come in here, you know, that, you know, here's a site that is, you know, roughly a 1/4 acre, you know, not large by any means from a survey standpoint. However, the home placed on this site really allow for a great backyard, you know, that is great for playing out there, enjoying the space, but not all the maintenance either, you know, so the best of both worlds in my opinion.
I like it. What was the build time from when the original home was knocked over to finish?
About 9 months, was the process, from when we started until when we finished.
Okay.
So this home is about 5,200 finished square feet. So there's a lot of home here, and a lot of details, that went into it. So a lot of that time, between trades coming in, needed to have the proper allotment, to allow those trades to do what they needed to do.
Were there any particular challenges with this lot and the location?
The lot, not so much, but there was some challenges, just getting through the city, they're very particular. Went through, when we applied for the permit on this particular home, they had placed a moratorium right after that, and that just means that they wanted to halt and stop approving building permits for a time as they evaluated what they wanted to see the city shape into and what they were requiring, for aesthetics, of the new builds that were happening in Wayzata. Fortunately, we got our permit in before that, so we were able to start right away. The biggest challenge you have on any of these infill lots are hardcover requirements, making sure that the home that you want to build can be built. They don't allow you to just, hey, any home, any shape, any size, any height to be built. They're
all the way to the edge of the lot. And,
absolutely, so
rainwater just gets pushed off onto the neighbors and becomes their problem.
So that becomes something really important as we were talking with people ahead of time, is that site selection and what their expectations are of what they want to build, to make sure that that can even be accomplished on the site, that they're looking at.
Yeah, sometimes we hear that with people that want really large garages too.
That's right.
We have to have a ratio of garage size to the finished square footage of the home, and so
absolutely,
and working within their budget can sometimes be a challenge. So
absolutely, no, couldn't agree
beyond
more.
Just your typical, side yard setbacks and architectural.
Well, I mean, to give you an example on this particular home, we were going to do a side-facing garage entrance that was a 3 separate garage stalls, so a 3-car garage. With that, we ran into an issue with hardcover, and our driveway, the amount of concrete that we had was not allowed. And so we had the decision to either keep the garage and have to, in essence, have driving strips with grass in between, which is a challenge for removing snow and things like that. We decided to go with a tandem style garage, much deeper than a normal garage, and then change it to a single garage door going to the front.
That makes sense. And it fits the aesthetic of the neighborhood too.
Absolutely.
And definitely better than having to have the detached.
Right.
This price point.
Yeah,
you certainly don't want to have to go outdoors
right.
coming from your
sure.
car. So you do see that occasionally still,
you
though.
Do, yes.
Yeah, stepping back in, you really just kind of experience the magnitude of the home. And I love the loft area.
Yeah, it definitely has drama.
So whoever designed this gets bonus points here. Whenever we have a primary bedroom on the main level, it's so important that we have this transition area. Otherwise, if the door was here, you'd be able to see right into the bedroom if the door is left open. Right now, the door is open and you could be entertaining and you wouldn't have to worry about that, like making the bed and stuff.
That's a great point.
You should always make your bed, but with this, it's much more private and it's more of a grand entrance as well. I love the ceiling detail in here.
Yeah, again, just integrating, the beams that we saw, in the family room area, bringing that into the primary bedroom, I think is something that is important. And having these large vaults really creates a much larger feel, to a room. And I think people appreciate that.
For those that might be curious, these plates on the wall are for low voltage. If you wanted to add a panel here, you would be able to do so.
There we go.
It's been pre-wired ahead of time. Ooh, I can feel the heat of the tile.
Well, you wore your socks and I have my shoes, so I believe you, yes.
Is it heated or is it just radiant warmth that it's absorbed?
It's actually heated, yep.
Okay.
Absolutely, yep. And we're including that in the homes that we're building.
Awesome. Well, it appears they have some sort of smart.
Yes, which creates different lighting effects, more of a natural light or a halo light or some of those types of details. And what you're seeing in here again is that furniture grade material being used on the cabinetry, where you have these flush inset drawers and so forth. More costly, but creates more of a lasting look, from that standpoint. Also integrating the use of real marble, on the floor tiles, the walls. We have the separate soaking tub area, makeup area as well. large walk-in shower, separate commode area leading right into both the primary closet and the main floor laundry room.
Yeah, that's certainly a trend that we're seeing now, especially with the Ramblers, to have the primary connect through the closet. And I'm glad that you did the nice built-ins in here. Even in multi-million-dollar homes, we're still seeing wire racks. Like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
so I know a lot of the homeowners are going to change it after the fact, but you should just have it right away.
Well, it's convenient to have those decisions made for you, and I think they do a great job, you know, with thinking of what those needs would be.
Yeah, you got to have the hamper too.
Yes.
We did hampers in our house. Love it. Every house going forward will have that feature.
Right. It's
So,
great.
There's some mirrors here too. It's kind of slick. And also pocketed. So pocket door, and then a regular door over there.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Oh, well, let's wrap on through. And now we will do a choose your own adventure. Alex, you're the driver. Are we going to go upstairs or downstairs next? All right, let's go check it out. So I noticed that you did the runner here on the wood stairs.
Absolutely.
As a pet owner, I think that's really important because their little paws will slip on the wood. And also old people slip on wood. My mom actually fell down the stairs, unfortunately.
Right, absolutely.
So I think either carpet your stairs or do a runner. This is the way.
And it also provides for another, you know, more designer detail, you know, that you can do with this plaid, you know, wool carpet, you know, on the staircase, which I think is a nice look. Also, to point out, you know, this is custom welded iron railings. It's not just bought at Home Depot and so forth. So this is made locally.
I imagine the pressure was on when they installed this because you mess up and
you're replacing those
the
floor
whole
runners,
runner.
you know, and so forth. Yeah,
that would not be cheap.
they're great.
So really nice loft area. I can see you coming up here for studying, reading.
And this really kind of showcases the drama that, you know, you were seeing downstairs, you know, with these high ceilings over 20 feet tall. I think that's something that people have really commented on and enjoyed. This particular level, you know, we have 2 separate bedroom suites, each with their own bathrooms. Great for, you know, guests coming, teens, you know, kids. Plus we do have an upper level laundry as well, so that we're not going into the main level, kind of self-sustaining upper level.
Obviously this is a spec house, so all the designs have been chosen.
Right.
What's the process like for someone that does a ground up build with you guys? So do you typically start with like something you've done previously and then make adjustments to that, or is it usually a ground up approach each time?
I find that in reality, you know, when people say custom, you know, or custom build, people are visual. So if they can start from a place of reference, that's just mentally something that they have an easier time with versus what is it going to be, visualizing that, you know, from scratch. So more often people see something that we've done and perhaps customize from that. But other times, you know, they have a very specific idea. And now with the integration of 3D software, there's warehouses where you can showcase a floor plan and see it in 3D and these types of things. So technology has allowed these plans to come to life in a real way that they can visualize better. Because let's face it, most people are visual and have a hard time envisioning something that isn't there.
Hence why spec housing exists.
That's
and
right.
people's timeline too. So like,
absolutely,
you could buy this house today, you know exactly what the price is going to be.
Right.
Whereas if you're building from scratch, you know, you might discover something along the way, or unfortunately the economy changes and then rates increase, or unforeseen costs increase. And do you do allowances for their selections, or do you try to get that all dialed in ahead of time?
I find that, you know, we walk people through homes, you know, that they've enjoyed, and it's very easy to say this is what kind of floor this is, or what kind of carpet that is, and equate that to, you know, dollar per yard.
Okay.
And as long as we integrate that in an allowance form that matches what their expectations are, that typically is fine.
Okay.
You know,
I imagine you're seeing a lot of the white oak being selected.
Absolutely.
Some of the nicer tile.
Right.
Do you guys do much with LVP anymore? Or
Not as much, you know, and I think price point really dictates that, although LVP and LVT are great products that have evolved and look great. I think that as price evolves, you know, or what their needs are for a space, kind of dictates some of that. But with the integration of these new engineered floors and so forth, they can be used in applications that previous only the LVPs and LVTs were used in. And so I think once people understand that, that's becoming a more popular product.
And I think there's a lot of confusion around, you know, you go from vinyl to laminate to LVP, and then now engineered wood, and people are just like, what? And then they say, well, we have pets, and so we want something that's going to hold up.
Absolutely.
Maybe they want to go back to an LVP, but if they do an engineered wood, or it's like this, where it's a harder wood, you wouldn't have to worry about that.
Absolutely.
So being able to educate them on that process.
Right. The days of that kind of shiny, you know, hardwood floors where the dogs, you can see every scratch. Really, there's such good products, you know, that are in real hardwoods that's somewhat alleviated that as a concern.
And is this a real hardwood, or is this engineered?
This is an engineered, you know, which again, when we use that term, it is real hardwood, you know, applied with a plywood backing, you know, and really is done in a way that provides much more stability to the floor, where you don't see that expansion and contraction as much, and allows for a lot more exotic finishes, plank widths, and treatment, you know, to the wood itself.
It's wider, and then I've noticed you've got some details where in some spots it's running a different way.
Absolutely, yes.
Very nice. Thoughts on having each bedroom have its own bathroom?
It's really not huge in the grand scheme of the overall budget, but obviously, you know, in certain price points, you know, the integration of a shared bathroom or a Jack and Jill or those types of things just are a little bit more cost effective. But I think in this particular case, what we wanted to design is for each person to have their own space, you know, without borrowing others.
Yeah. I would say in the semi-custom, you kind of run into the Jack and Jill at the 1 million mark. And then when you get to 1.5 to 2, it's like, there's kind of that expectation that there's separate
I think
bedrooms and baths.
On that topic, you know, when you integrate a space like we have here, you know, with this bonus room or loft spaces, you have to think of more than just the occupants of the bedroom and who's using the bathroom. And so in this particular case, the idea of a private ensuite is here, with the ability for guests or others who are utilizing, you know, the bonus room to be able to use that bathroom versus having to go through somebody's private bedroom to access a bathroom.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So if your traditional 4-bedroom up 2-story, you may not worry about that, because the only people that are up there are the family members that occupy those rooms. Whereas in a lower level, you may have people that are there for entertainment, and so having access to a bathroom is important.
Something that we should point out, you know, is again, as I mentioned, upper level laundry space here as well. Guests or kids or whoever, train them to use, do their own laundry, and you get perfect access there.
There we go. Clicks in place. Yeah, this is quite the bonus space. So we're above the garage. What additional things needed to be taken into account in order to build up here and, you know, have it be a nice climate and a cohesive space?
Absolutely. Yeah, so we do need to pay special attention to what insulation that we're using, you know, in the floor itself, you know, the ceiling height in the garage, integrating, you know, forced air, you know, heating and cooling to make sure that this zoning is done properly, you know, so that you have a climate controlled and comfortable area here as well. This does also help, you know, keep that garage a little warmer in the winter because of this insulated space that we have up above. And our idea here, you know, was obviously a great entertaining space, or there's definitely a need for a working office space where the main level office could double as more of a library. And then if you were operating a home business or something that you needed to have privacy, Zoom calls, this would really provide that environment.
I could see using this as like a studio space as well. We could have our podcast set up.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, had I not mentioned that we're above the garage, I don't think the viewers would even realize that, because the sheer amount of light that's coming in, not only from the front here, but also these side windows. And so it's a unique way to take advantage of kind of how the property is situated.
And with the exterior design, you know, we have 3 distinct dormers and also one in the loft. providing us this opportunity to add these window seats with storage, which is a nice architectural detail.
Yeah. Yeah, just really visualizing someone that wants to entertain. They value being able to age in place, so the main level is important to them. But also having that additional space for when they have guests over, they can stay up there and they kind of feel like they have their own area. And then we're gonna check out the basement next, which I already came through during the tour, so I know what to expect, but obviously very important when you're building a home of this stature. I personally enjoy how I've really taken what some would consider a negative and really spun it into a positive. And so we're obviously in a full basement right now. We do have an egress window over there for that bedroom, but this space is perfect just the way it is. You almost don't want that added light because now we're in a whole different like mode, right? We've got the TV over here, and then not to ruin the surprise, but this awesome golf simulator tucked away. Could be repurposed, I'm sure, as like a theater, but golf seems to be
currently
the trend.
We kind of we're showcasing it as golf simulator, as that's been popular right now. But again, it's a flex space that could be a billiards room, a home theater. There's a lot of uses, for that. And as you pointed out, the full in-ground basement doesn't have to be dark and dreary as we're seeing here. And if you can imagine this outside wall, for instance, being a full walkout with doors, windows, it really doesn't allow, for the flexibility and use of the space fully when you have a wall of windows and doors.
And we have another cool built-in refrigerator in the cool drawer with the different ices. That's a must-have. It's also fun to count the number of sinks throughout the house.
Right, yes. Typically you're seeing these elongated fireplaces. A lot of times, the more cost effective is an electric, and personally I like gas, so again, this is the changing colors, in the rocks. It is a full, it's a heat source, it is gas. This is part of the venting system, so that allows that heat to recirculate and then be actually blown back into the room.
Gotcha.
So there's a blower and so forth, Yep.
Very interesting.
So an integration of painted brick along with real stone, and then you're seeing the white oak on the floors here as well. This is step down, also lit, with the LED, just helping from a safety standpoint.
You mentioned this earlier upstairs, but
I did, yes.
Walk your plans. If you guys are interested, comment below. We'll go check it out. We can do a tour, but essentially they project the plan onto the floor and then you can physically walk it, which I think is neat. I have not been there personally, but I've heard it's really cool.
Right. Yeah, it's a great concept.
Who did the golf simulator?
So it's a company that does all of our audio, video, and our Sonos and our speakers and security. They worked with Foresight Sports, which is a popular manufacturer of these golf simulators.
That's also been a big trend on the tour.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot more of that.
Ton of these in various forms too. So this is more of a, you could move it if you needed to.
Yeah,
kind of
a little bit more portable, again, with the thought that, hey, being a spec home, this may be something that people want. We could integrate it into a more permanent system, or it could be repurposed for something else.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, you have it mounted up there for where the projector could go if one desired.
Absolutely.
I noticed that the plastic is still on here, so.
Right, exactly.
What have we here? Just storage.
So again, some more additional storage, which every home needs. So often these homes are finished in their entirety, not allowing for additional storage. We have some great storage here, along with the ability to store around the corner, or that could be a wine cellar as well.
So bedroom, unstage. I like the gym. This is the same flooring we did in our house.
People like that, I think that
yeah,
makes,
you did it the right way. So sometimes people do those ones that click together.
Snap in, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a fully glued,
this is the way
gym surface. Obviously, people want home offices or workspaces along with workout areas as well. And this could, amply, be equipped with all of your exercise equipment.
Place for the TV, so you're working out, you can watch that. That's important. Oh, great space. Well, if you're moving to Minnesota and you want to live in Wayzata, give me a call. My number is 612-702-7687. I'd love to show you this home or any of the others. And I'll put a link on screen to a playlist of all the LDK properties that we've checked out if you're interested in this caliber of home. Rob, thanks so much for showing us around. We learn something new every time, so really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Good to see you as always.
Yep. Take care.
Thank you.